Hi guys, meteorologist Lindsay Slater here. So let's highlight a little bit about our snow that we had from overnight last night into early this morning. You can see that this is actually a website I use all the time. It's called CocoRaws, which is basically what is used when you have monitoring systems or people who have been certified to do this. They do put in reports. Some of them are automatic. And this is going to be, if I switch it to snowfall, you can see how much snow happened in your community. Our forecast was generally a 1 to 3 inch snowfall. Dan, you guys done? You're good?
All good.
Okay, just making sure. Um, you can see that generally this was a 1 to 3 inch snowfall, and that's really kind of what happened here. I do anticipate us to get one more round of snow, but overall, it looks like at the Milwaukee airport, it was about 1.7 inches reported there. And then out in Sullivan, which is where the National Weather Service is, they had about 1.5 inches, or that might be reversed. It's either MKX or MKE. So as we go into some of our northern counties, you can see a little bit less, which is what we expected, kind of right in the middle here, stretching from about Rock County, or sorry, not Rock County, Rock, also into it is Rock County, rather. Sorry. Beloit, Janesville got the 2 to 3 inches there. So this really kind of did pan out as we expected, but we're not done. We do have another weather system on the way. This one is going to be arriving tonight, and this is not a part of our official snowfall map that we made yesterday. This is going to be a quick additional inch right there. Little tiny clipper is going to be rolling its way through. This is going to bring us the potential of some gusty winds, especially in the evening hours right there. This is from about 5 to 8 o'clock, and it does bring just about an additional inch, but in combination with the winds, there definitely could be some squalls going on, meaning maybe not a snow squall alert or a warning, but yeah, you definitely could have some issues with blizzard-like conditions out there. So just something to keep in mind. Some models actually pumping in almost up to 2 inches there. I still feel like this is a up to 1 inch snowfall. That's kind of what I've been noticing here. Even some of the weather models, sometimes they tend to hop on these bands, which, yes, in the bands, you could absolutely get some higher totals. But so far, I feel pretty good with our up to 1. I think the bigger story is going to be about what is on the way. This is going to be our extreme cold watch. That's what this blue color is. So we did have the polar vortex from, oh, when was it? It was, I believe, 2019. So I'm trying to find stratosphere modeling. So the polar vortex actually lives in the polar vortex lives in the stratosphere. So it's really, really high up. It's above where we are in terms of, our troposphere. That's basically where all of our weather happens. This is above that. So we look at the stratosphere when it comes to the polar vortex. So you have to be very specific on how you look at the stratosphere, where the polar vortex is. From some of the data that I've gathered, the stratosphere is showcasing that polar vortex. I can't get my model to pop up here, but the polar vortex right now is actually over Greenland. It is also over a little portion of the Hudson. Can't really see it on these weather models because it doesn't go that high up, but the reason I'm bringing this up is I can show you kind of where we are going to see some of the worst temperature drops. So if we look at North America, right now, the stratosphere is like over Greenland and it's over the Hudson. So what's going to happen is what we have going on is that stratosphere, that polar vortex, we get like a little lobe. You see that here? This is what's going to cause our bitter wind chills. And this is what's going to pull in that cold air. You see how we're just in that for a brief moment? We'll continue to have dangerous chills, but that little lobe just kind of hangs out here for a while. So I really hope it doesn't make it all the way down to the Appalachians. That would be terrible. But they also have a whole other winter storm that they're dealing with as well. But you can see this is going to be a long-lasting cold spell. It does look like through the end of January. We just keep getting these hits of these little lobes of the polar vortex. The vortex is way up here, but these are just little tiny lobes of it. So will it be as bad? Well, during 2019, the actual low itself went right over northern Wisconsin. So we had wind chills as low as like -60, -70 up there. For us, we hit down to like -55. This round of cold air is going to bring us wind chill values that get probably around, I would say, -35 to -40 degrees. In this case, remember, I talked about this before, an extreme cold warning, which is when you have wind chills that are below 30 degrees, that is usually when schools will cancel. I would say that's probably a high likelihood at this point. for Friday. So parents, make sure you have a heads up on that. I'm giving you that heads up. I talked about it yesterday as well. Be very aware of that. There's no big snowstorms in our future. But if you are traveling, I will be traveling actually today. So I'm going to be out of town up until the beginning of February. So I apologize. I can't be here during our bitter cold event, but I do want to show you this very large winter weather system. So this is the high pressure that's coming in to bring us that cold air. And I actually think we're lucky. I know this is bitter cold, but compared to what that high pressure does, it keeps this winter storm from actually getting up into the Midwest. We're lucky it's not getting here because that could have been really bad for us, but it's going to be especially bad stretching from, I mean, Western Texas all the way to the East Coast. Guys, that is thousands of miles of potential crippling ice and snow and maybe even some severe weather. I mean, if I go to total snowfall accumulation, I mean, there's a stretch of snow that's over 7-8 inches through Oklahoma, northern Texas, into Virginia, North Carolina. But then the worst part, in my opinion, isn't about the snow. It's about the freezing rain potential. I mean, there's some spots here that could have freezing rain upwards of over a half an inch, maybe even an inch. That's absolutely crippling. That is crippling. That is horrible. I mean, I don't know another way to say it at this point. That's really bad. Any ice is bad ice. But we're talking power outages, power lines down, trees breaking. I mean, there's nothing you can do for ice. You can't treat ahead of time. You can't prep for it. It just happens. So that's very, very, very bad. I am concerned about that for folks. So if you are traveling East Coast, Southeast, maybe hopefully you can get to Florida or something if you're getting a little break, but anything through Atlanta is going to be bad for this weekend. Through Jackson, Louisiana, if you're flying to Houston or Dallas, this is not great. I'm actually traveling to the West Coast and further west, actually, so I will be missing this, which is great. But everyone just be safe during this latest event. We do have this bitter cold that'll be here all weekend. And then also, if you know anybody, I'm sure they're very aware of this very large winter weather system down to the deep south, which is horrendous. It doesn't look great. The combination of the bitter cold from Canada plus all the moisture coming in and that high pressure holding all this moisture hostage is basically a recipe for disaster for deep south winter. So that is what I have for you today. I will be off of work. Through about Groundhog Day. So I will be back. What Monday is that? I will be back on Monday. I believe that is February 2nd. Yes, I'm back on Monday, February 2nd. Make sure you follow our Weather Watch 12 team. They will have all your updates for you as needed. And you guys have a great rest of your January. I'll see you in February.